Welcome back to Jennifer Broussard Art. Is it cold where you are? It is here. Let's paint this mom and her kids playing ice hockey. Photo by Stock Snap on Pixabay. Materials are an Arches 8x10 block of cold pressed 100% cotton paper in 140 pound. The brushes I'm going to use are a 3/4 inch silver black velvet oval, and then Princeton Heritage 10, 8, and 4, and my Escoda Perla number 1 round, and probably an eradicator brush by Rosemary & Co. I might use some salt, and I'm going to use this water spray bottle, and then my 48 pan palette of really fun colors. I'm going to start off a little bit differently today. One thing that always gets me is losing my lines. So I've done the people over again once I took off the ceril paper that I use. I use graphite ceril paper, and sometimes it's because of the cold press texture, it doesn't quite get in everything. So I remembered that when you watercolor over a line, you cannot erase it after that happens. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to spray the whole paper with water and brush it around, and I'm going to let it dry. And I'm thinking that that might set the pencil marks. So I'm going to just, it already disturbed that. I'm going to be really gentle with this big brush, the 3/4 inch oval, and then I'm going to just spread that water around and let it set these pencil marks. I might have to redraw that guy. Okay, everybody's wet, and the whole paper is wet now, and I'm going to just walk away and let it dry on its own. This is all dry. I let it dry all by itself naturally over the last couple hours while I went and did things. I'm going to start by masking this bigger person with the paintbrush, and then I think I'm going to switch to one of these shapers that I have for the littler figures in the background. So I'm going to get this all soapy. So I'll get a little bit on, and I'm going to put it all over this closer person. And the idea of wetting this before and letting it dry before we do the masking is so that when I take off the masking, the outline is not gone. I want the outline to stay. And as it is, with having masked it, the outline is pretty faint. But if it stays faint and I can still see it, that's a win for me. The ice in the photo looks pure white, but we're not going to leave it pure white. So I'm going to go ahead and mask all of the figures in case, because I don't want to have to go up and around all the little angles that we have going on here. There isn't much space between her arm and the ice, so I'm going to go ahead and get closer. Get that ice skate. Okay, I'm not going to mask. I am going to mask a little bit of hair. Okay, done with that. I'm going to try this pointy one. Get this right on the head. I really like these. I've only used them once or twice now, and I like how you can be very precise with the masking fluid. I'm going to speed up the rest of the masking fluid. All I'm going to do now is use a wax candle. I broke a tea light in half, and I'm going to add a little bit of this white on the mountains. I'm going to just scratch it through here along this slope. And then kind of bring some of this down here. I'm going to put a lot of it up here. It's very foggy up here, so even if it doesn't cover that much, we're gonna be making it all wet and wet. So even if it doesn't cover, it will be effective. Look at these bumps. Put a little bit in here. And then I think that's it. I'm going to let it all dry. As I go along, I will tell you what colors I'm using. This is sodalite genuine that I thought would look good in the sky. And then this is ultramarine blue. So I have my big oval. I'm just going to wet the whole thing again. I'm going to wet down to, this is dirty. I'm going to wet down to that yellow line, the yellow dead grass line. I'm going to turn this way. Try this. I'm going to let this water sit for a minute or two. And while that's doing that, I'm going to get a color out for the bushes. I think I'm going to try to do this in one go. Let's get, I think we're ready. I got out some burnt tiger's eye genuine and some sepia. You can use any brown. It doesn't matter. Just look at the reference photo and see what you want to use, what might go with these bushes. So I'm going to start with the bushes. The yellow is still dry. So between the bushes and the horizon line is the yellow dead grass. So I'm going to start. I also have the paper propped up on a roll of tape. So I've got a little bit of an angle. I'm going to go right along that bottom line, right over the masked figures. I'm going to get a little sepia, darken it up here and there. And because it's wet, it's drying soft and it looks like the tops of dead bushes. Now these bushes have a little bit of red in them. I'm going to get some permanent alizaron crimson. And I'm going to go right at the middle of the brown. I'm going to go right through it so that it mixes together. And I'm going to get, let's see, what would be a good, I'm going to get just some blue. Just dab it in there. Not everywhere, just around. So I want these bushes to come up a little higher. I'm going to finish with the blue. Maybe even sodalite genuine, since that's what we're using in the mountains. I'm going to get a little bit more brown and make these come up higher. Or sepia. I like how those bushes look. Now I thought I was going to do it in one go, but now that I see how pretty that is, I'm going to let this dry, and then I will do the same thing, but with the trees. It's all dry, and I've been thinking a lot about how I can do these trees and also preserve these bushes. And then I was thinking about how I should have done the trees first and then pushed in the bushes. But what's done is done. So what I'm going to do now is put it up on a pen. I've got just a little pen here. I'm going to put it up on that. It's a little bit lower than the roll of tape. And I'm going to go ahead and wet the trees, and I'm going to go beyond. I'm going to wet from the tops of the bushes. Actually, you know what? I think I better wet the bushes too. I'm going to be really, really gentle. I really love this right here. I think that's so pretty. These are not staining colors, so you've got to be really gentle when you're re-wetting these, or they will change. They will get lifted. Okay, I think I've got it. Now I'm going to go up all the way up here, because I don't want the pigment to stop at the end of the water and make a hard line. I'm going to wet the whole top part of the paper. And the trees in the photo are pretty dark, so I'm going to get this perylene green. Wait for it to absorb. I have got lots of puddles here. Let's see what happens. Go nice and slow and test it out first. And now I'm going to let it just... I've got some milk consistency paint. And so, there we go. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to plop some water in here. This is working just fine. So I wanted to point something out. So when you put your brush down and you pick it up, see how it spreads? And that's happening at the top of my trees. So what I'm going to do instead is start at the top and come down. I don't know if that will really help or what, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm varying the height of the trees. I'm going to put some water in here. I want these to be soft right at the edge of the bushes. Get some more perylene green. See a hard line forming here, here. I'm going to put some water in here. I'm going to actually lift this so that it will go a little higher. It's so pretty. Now I'm just lifting to give them a little more shape. I like that. I think I'm going to leave that. I'm going to try adding a little bit of serpentine green. Because I want to vary the color of greens. And I want to add, I think this is jadeite. Jadeite genuine. It's a little darker, so it will add a little shadow. And these two colors are going to granulate. Now I'm going to add water, and hopefully it will drip up into the trees. It's just plain, clean water. I'm going to get some of the ultramarine blue and add it back in here. Get a little bit of alizaron crimson. That's too much. Oh, isn't that pretty? Okay. Now I'm getting a puddle here. I added a little too much water. And I'm going to have to add that pigment back in. Just going this way because there's a valley. My paper's warped. So let's get the perylene green. Serpentine green. Some jadeite. Don't want to do that. Okay, now I'm putting the paper right side up. Got a puddle here again. Okay, I think I want to do that again. Just dabbing in some paper towel. Okay, I'm going to put it flat and let it dry. I'm not going to dry this with a dryer yet. I'm going to wait about 15 minutes because I want all of this to mingle and work together. While this is drying, we can work on the foreground because there is a little sliver of dead grass between the foreground and the bushes. So what I'm going to do is wet the ice, clean water, I'm going to get some of the French ultramarine, very light value. All around. I'm going to leave some of that white paper showing. And I'm going to get a plastic card. And I'm going to do like some lines where the skates have gone. People have been skating all day around here. Let's do some just mark it up. And I'm going to get some of the sodalite genuine to vary the color. And hopefully it will go into the marks we just made on the paper. And if not, this still looks pretty good. And get some more sodalite and put it, just sort of splash it in. And I want to get some white paint. So I'm going to get some Bleedproof white. love doing this, so fun. Just splash in a little bit of white paint. And I'll put in a little bit of salt. All right, now I'm going to walk away and let it all dry. Before it dries, I'm going to try a little something. I'm going to mix these, get it light, more water. I'm going to dip the card in. I've got a little bit of beaded up pigment on there. Go like this. Ooh, okay. I think that's enough. I'm going to overdo it. I just wanted to see what would happen. Isn't this beautiful? I'm not going to do anything more to that. I'm just going to leave it exactly how it is. I am going to start doing the sky and the mountain. So I'm going to mix a little bit of this brown, these brown puddles in with some of the blue and get a pretty gray in a very light value. So I added some water. So I've got a blue and a gray and a little bit of brown and a little bit of green to go back here on the mountain. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the whole sky. It's good practice in wet today, isn't it? I'm going to go right over the trees. A lot of water and very gentle. I'm kind of going down into the trees about halfway. You know, I think I should probably go down to the bushes because that would be a natural hard line if any should form. And barely touching the paper. Okay, get this all wet. Okay, I'm going to get some of the gray. I'm going to put it in down here. Okay, that part of the mountain's pretty much done. I remember that we put some crayon, so I'm not going to worry about preserving white because the crayon is there. I'm going to put a little bit of this gray blue here. Damp brush to get this little guy off. I just want to add a little bit to define the shape of the mountain. And I want to put a little bit in the sky, just over here, just a little bit to define the sky a touch. Let's put a little bit more in the tip. Damp brush to dry that. Now I'm just going to kind of watch it and make sure that this doesn't bleed too far into the sky, and this too. I'm going to let it do the same thing I did when it was in here, when this was drying. I'm just going to let it work its magic. And you know what? If this goes up into the sky and I don't catch it, it's totally fine. Okay, I'm going to do the little strip of dead grass. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to this brown. I'm going to get some, what is this? Yellow ochre. Oh, I think that was nickel azo yellow. I'll get some yellow ochre. I don't like this for that color, for that part. I'm just going to get yellow ochre and put it in here. Not going to make it too difficult. There we go. Okay, now I have to dry that and we can take the masking fluid off. Okay, let's see if the trick we did at the very beginning worked. Let's see if, oh my gosh, it totally worked. I can see all the lines. I'm so happy. It worked. Oh, I'm going to use this from now on. That is awesome. I don't know, can you see the lines or is it too bright? I'm not sure, but I can see them. So this works. Okay, I've got it all off. Doesn't the mountain look good? And the trees? I'm gonna just leave this mountain off. I don't think we need it. Mostly because I love how this looks. It just seems like this mountain goes off down there, and maybe there's one back there. There is a line and there is some crayon there, but I'm not gonna do anything else to that. Okay, let's fill in the people. I'm gonna get out my number 1. And this person has on some dark colored pants. I'm gonna get out some neutral tint. It's gonna add it right here. A little water and do the pants. The pants go straight across. Okay, these pants. That's where our socks start. A little bit lower. I'm going to add a little more pigment to that. And add a little more pigment to this one. This person also has on black pants. A little more pigment. And this little guy has on black pants. This kid is like me in the outfield playing softball. Just waiting for something to happen. I am going to fill in, get some sepia, and fill in the rest of this arm. This little shape here. There. All right, I'm going to do their heads. This one's got a little bit of green on his helmet. This one is, well, she's got on a black hat and it kind of gets lost in the foliage. So let's make her hat, whatever this color is, sky horizon blue. She's got on a hood over her neck. The hood is not up on her head, it's just still down. Okay, let's bring that hat down like that. This kid has on some blue. I'm going to get a little more French ultramarine. Maybe this is cobalt blue. Yeah, this is cobalt blue. He's got on some blue helmet. I left some white space showing. And this guy has on some white blue helmet. Goes across his forehead there. Okay, he's got on some dark colored gloves. Get a little more neutral tint, make it a little darker. Gloves. Just putting shapes on. She has on light colored gloves. Can't really see his gloves, so I'm just going to put something on his arms. In the reference photo, he's not even holding a stick, so we're making it up as we go. Okay, let's do, I'm going to dry. Actually, I'm going to add a little more pigment to these pants. These pants too. And these. Okay, I'm going to get a little more neutral tint just right off of the pan. It's pretty thick, thickly pigmented, and add it to those. Okay, now I'm going to dry it. Okay, I'm getting some green gold. You can just mix some green with some yellow, and I'm going to put it on this jacket. Put it on his sleeve here. This kid has on some like Kelly green. I'm going to get some sap green and add it to this blue. So, okay, let's just add that all over his shirt. Leave a little white showing. To give it a little, an easy way to have clothing have some dimension is to leave a little white here and there, a little bit of highlight. I'm going to add a little more to his pants. I'm going to go right up there next to his shirt too and let that bleed up into there. Okay, now let's do this guy. He has on some like forest green. Add a little blue to that green. And he has like a big white stripe on his sleeve. Okay, this goes down to his pants. There's his neck, there's his sleeve. And the green goes like that. Let's do the lady's jacket. She has on a green jacket too. I'm going to do hers in this granulating color. I think the granulation will help it have dimension like I was talking about over here. So I'm going to fill the whole jacket in. This is her arm. It's really pretty close to the trees, but I'm glad she's in front of the bushes. Serpentine green. Okay, her jacket flap comes down here. Here's her elbow. And her arm comes down like this. And her jacket flap comes down to there. See, I left a little white right there to show, I don't know, like an arm or something. I think I'm just going to go all the way up because her hair isn't showing. This is more the hood. Okay, we'll let that dry. Let's do her skates. She's got white socks on, and then some sort of rust color. I'm going to get some burnt sienna. Skip the socks and put on the skates. I can't really see the skates anymore. I'm just doing shapes. I'm going to add a little bit of the neutral tint. Let's see. Let's try some of this blue for the heel of the skate. It's all just going to go together, so that's fine. Oh, this kid's skates are this color. This one is up like this and coming down like that. Okay. And then this kid has on red skates. Let's get some of the Permanent Alizaron Crimson. He's got like a cuff too. Little white cuff, and then it's just two red shapes because he's facing us. This might actually be too big. That's fine. That's fine how it is with it dabbed off. And then this one is sort of blue. And now we can do their sticks. Let's get this weird color. Or you can get yellow ochre or something. You can add a little blue to this. I'm going to do her hand. It's barely there. And then some blue. This kid's stick is white, so I'm just going to do the tiniest little bit of a line. And then the end of it. Let's do her hand. She's got a red cuff and sort of a yellowy, I'm going to do yellow ochre. Yellowy glove. And I can do her, the bottom part of her hood, some sepia. Some more green. Okay, I'm going to add a few little lines to define. Here's her arm. She's got some wrinkles on her jacket here. Using some sepia. I'll use some dark green on that now. She's got like an elastic waist here. And then inside here, it's dark. And then there's some ripples in the fabric in the bottom part of her jacket. Just add some darks and lights and skip every now and then. Then there's some ripples going that way, one going this way. And then there's one like that. I'm just going to fill this in. Now up here, got a little bit of a shadow there, a little bit of a shadow here, and we're good. I think I'm going to add a little bit of blue over there. There's a little bit of dark here. A little bit of dark on the underside of her glove. I think it's a little too big, so I'm just going to add some dark. And that went up into the jacket. I think that looks really good, you guys. And now this is white, but I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm going to add a little bit of gray. And then when that's dry, I'll add her hair. Now let's do this stick. A little bit of the gray. A little bit of the neutral tint in that puddle. Okay, I'm going to dry it off and we'll finish with the details. It's dry and I'm ready to finish off this little guy's jacket. He's got some dark color. And I'm going to put the little blades, suggest a little bit of a blade right under there, just a little line. And then this one's got a blade going like that. And then a blade going like that. We can't see them really well because they're foreshortened. This one just barely has anything. Same here. There aren't really any blades to see, but I'm going to put one coming down the front. Let's do the faces. Let's see, this one, I'm going to use a little bit of burnt sienna. The kids all have a shield in front of their face. So that makes it easy. And then let's do her hair. Let's get some more burnt sienna. That might be burnt umber. Get burnt sienna. I'm going to add a little bit of sepia to her hair. I'm going to add a little bit of darkness to her hat. I think it just stands out a little too much. And then I think I want to just add a tiny bit of shadow under their little hockey sticks and under their skates. Just a little bit. I'm going to take some of the gray. Here. And I'm just going to soften this right here. Add a little more of the dark. A little bit more of the blue on her skates. Okay, I think we're good, you guys. I'm going to add a little more dark to his helmet, right in the front of his face. Same with that one, just right on the back. And this one in the front of his face. And we're all done. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I love discovering new ways to do things. I think that this looks great. I love the ice. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you in the next video.